Welcome to today's collective reading for the feminine collective seeking insight into the masculine collective. I'll be doing a Celtic cross reading today that has a bit of a spin on it. Instead of it being something that's what's on your mind, it's what's on their mind. So the first placement is, what is the overall situation? What does the divine want you to know about their overall situation right now, in this moment that you've encountered this timeless reading? What guidance, insight does the divine and does your masculine want you to have, be it their higher self, conscious self, or subconscious? So we have the Death card, and it's upright. And it's this, all of the cards in this particular deck are a grayscale image. So it's very aware of the contrast between light and dark. The images, they seek to really highlight that there are shades and hues and highlights and shadows present within this interplay between light and dark. You have this very skeletal image. I mean, there's some muscle, like this is representing them. So they're tired, they're exhausted, they're probably in a lot of pain, but it's because they're in the state of transformation. And they're stepping on to the chessboard or the checkers board. And the reason I mention checkers is because you can make a king in checkers. You don't make a king in chess. However, in chess, the queen is, the Queen's Gambit, if you've seen the movie, right? She's got a mean game. So he's putting himself on the playing field, and he's moving towards that light at the end of the tunnel, because it's this curvature to the game board. It's a pretty daunting task before him to make sense of this warped perspective of transformation that's going to occur. It could be that he started his journey a long time ago, and this is a story that is being highlighted for you. He began this a long time ago, possibly. Overall, this is the first thing that's being highlighted for you, that he, being the masculine, is either beginning this journey, depending on where this reading finds you, or he began this a long time ago and he was already tired and exhausted and in a lot of pain, but he chose to come to you anyway. This is definitely speaking to a higher self, or a consciousness that's aware of the self throughout time. Okay. The next placement is what is influencing the situation, for better or for worse. And here we have, come here, the Seven of Spheres. Ooh. Now in this deck, this is not a patiently waiting and watching to see if the seeds they planted within you have grown. It's not of that. It's the earth is breaking apart, and they have made a mad dash to the tree that holds these 7 seeds as fruit hanging from its branches. And they're driven to get there. They're driven to get there, and whether or not you're there when they get there is very, very important. If you're not consciously aware and awake and present and ready to go when they get there, they see that as the world falling apart around you both. That they have pushed it to the last second. And if you're not there, all is lost. Now this is upright, which implies that they're visualizing with everything in them, and they're doing everything they can with divine to have the affirmations, the synchronicities around them, to not give their power to fear. And they know that to do so is to manifest that very thing. So they're fully manifesting you being there, waiting. And they could come over this hill and they could see your silhouette at the base of this tree, while the earth is quaking and just falling to bits around them. Like, imagine San Andreas kind of like earthquake, like the movie kind of a thing. Imagine that. And they're waiting for you there, because the moment you get there, it all goes to peacefulness. That's really intense. That's a lot of energy. Okay, so we now have the foundation of the situation for them, the foundation of what's on their mind, you know, where their heart is, where their soul is, where their hopes are, where their dreams are. And that's, the foundation is in the Two of Wands. They are holding a wand, and they have another wand waiting for you, which means that either they've guarded your wand, you sent your wand and they didn't know that you had their wand and they made a new one. The foundation is there's a wand without someone using it to manifest. It's an interesting take on it. Yes, there is the traditional way of viewing it, of choosing one path versus another. Yes, there is that. In this image, though, it's very much like they're looking at the empty space of where someone should be holding this wand that's stuck into the earth, into the ground. And they're very aware of that person's absence. They miss you so much. They miss you so much. And they've been doing everything they can to manifest you being there beside them. It's pretty much what I'm getting here. They know who they want wielding that other wand, and it's you. Okay, so we're going to move into the past, the things that are passing away. Oh, beautiful. Okay. So we have the inverted Eight of Spheres. This is bye-bye. No more. All of the energy and effort and all of everything that you both have been manifesting, in particular them. This concept that everything that they invest is just falling. Juggling upside down doesn't work. Typically, whatever you're juggling just keeps going. It doesn't come back to you. Well, that conundrum is no longer a thing. They're starting to get those pentacles, that abundance. The divine has stepped in. Those pentacles are coming back with interest now, even if they are upside down. It's pretty much saying that, like, I love this image. Your masculine is being surprised when they're walking on the ceiling and the pentacle they just were told to juggle actually comes back up to the ceiling because the divine decided the gravity was going to be reversed for them now. So they're shocked, they're stunned. This concept that no matter what they invest in will never work is passing away, meaning your person, your masculine, your assertive energy took a leap of faith and invested a pentacle that they really couldn't part with because the divine through you guided them to. And they were utterly stunned when it came back with interest because it seemed to reverse gravity. Can you imagine that moment when they're like, wait, what? Oh my gosh, that had to have been quite the moment. What is on their mind at this time? Oh, we have a reversed Page of Wands. And I am going to kind of get a little from the book on this one. Just because as it's the same deck that I was working with for the last reading, and want to make sure that I get exactly what is intended to be communicated here. There's something in the book for you guys. All right. So the very fact that this has come out, they are very excited and they're finding it very hard to focus because they're so excited. It's like a kid in a candy store. Oh, you mean I could have whatever I want? Oh my gosh. Okay, so symbolism. Okay, so he has all of this excitement and energy, and because he's the kid in the candy store, and there's like one thing that he was sent in there to get in particular that he wanted, and he was really excited about it. But now he wants like 4 or 5 other things too. He's split his focus. And in splitting his focus, he may completely forget to get what he actually went in there for. And he may not have enough to come back and get it. Or he'll have to come back and get it after getting all the way home, kind of a thing. He needs a post-it note. So, in the reverse, it means unpredictability and foolishness. Now, this could be a double meaning here. This could be that he may be manifesting the exact moment for a leap of faith, being that fool, but he is concerned that his focus could have been compromised, so he didn't dot all the I's and cross all the T's. So he's concerned about that. He's having anxiety about that. And he's at this precipice of taking that leap of faith, of being that fool. And he is so excited, but he's also kind of in a 9 of Swords energy, where the excitement becomes anxiety. It becomes a negative. So he's walking that very fine line of excitement and I almost said terror with so much anxiety because this matters a lot. There's so much energy behind this manifestation, behind this journey. And I'm picking up on so many very strong, assertive, masculine energies present in this reading. Oh, so much energy. This matters. And it's that moment. It's that moment. And the greatest advice that I could give would be give them something to laugh about. Give them something to focus on. You know, if this is if this is a point where you can influence, where you can help, where you can assist, get them to like focus on the lighter notes, right? Help them see the excitement and not only feed the anxiety, right? It's the two wolves that live in everyone's heart. You have, are you feeding the one of light and love, or are you starving it? Are you feeding the one of darkness, of doubt, fear, anger, so on and so forth, especially if it's self-harming anger? Or are you starving it? There needs to be balance. And in this situation, you're the receptive energy. And, as I said in the masculine reading I did earlier, a lot of times in my experience, women incarnate with the light energy, which is archetypally or symbolically the masculine energy. And it's about the contrast and understanding that difference and learning about it. And it makes sense. As a soul, as a being, you would want to learn as much as you could in every life. So you would want to be in both assertive and receptive energy. You would want to challenge yourself. You would want to be both masculine and feminine. Physically feminine, energetically masculine. Physically masculine, energetically feminine. You would want that contrast. However, it can be either way, because we're all unique and we're all beautiful and we're all different and we're all learning our own unique lessons, because we need everyone's lesson and light and awareness to come to the table. We're stronger for it. It's a better world for every single person that's able to find their way through this journey. So that being said, if you are able to get them to laugh or smile, it can make a huge difference in which wolf they feed. Especially if you're the light at the end of the tunnel, to get a little vote of confidence along the difficult path here or there can make a huge difference in how they cope with where they're at in that moment. They may not communicate often, but you are incredibly important to them, and they may not tell you, communicate with you, let you know that they're choosing to protect you by letting it seem as though they're rejecting you, when in reality it's not that way at all. So it's always allow the divine to move within what you manifest by not locking in the detail. Let the divine have the detail. Let them fill in the blank. You know what you need, what you want, what you're not willing to live without, what you must have, what you're not willing to live with. It's all about boundaries and finding them for yourself. It's all about that. To help them figure that out too, where they're feeding their light or where they're starving it, where they're feeding their dark or where they're starving it, because both are their allies. There can be balance. They don't have to fight one another. They can turn into allies and defend one another. Now, to the influences coming into play. I actually had 2 cards come out. So we have the Star upright, and it's just a beautiful image. And then we have the Ace of Wands inverted. So this speaks to, the connection between the divine and them is something that you have sparked, and it's something that has come down from above. The divine has been able to reach them Your masculines are more of the physical realm. They're more connected to earth, to creation, to who they are, to their personal power. They're more aware of that part of their experience, of their life. They're very good with working with those energies. This connection of being connected to divine is because you have done the work to get to the heart, which allows them to be reached through the heart. The heart is just above the solar plexus. The divine has been helping you to get to that point so you could reach them, so they could wake, so they could understand, so they could know. They may not have known about the soul connection, about past lives. They may be feeling like they're going absolutely nuts right now. They may be feeling like they need to hospitalize themselves. They could be going through any number of things right now. So this word of encouragement, of getting them to go, okay, this is who you are in this time. This is who you are to me. You are not, all of these things I'm experiencing. I am these things that I'm experiencing. To know that you care, that you're there, that I matter, that, these things, when they're going through something like this, I mean, if it was scary for you, wow, can you imagine for them? Especially if, until this moment, I'm kind of getting the vibe that some of these masculines didn't believe in God, which is kind of, it's kind of a thing, like, but they believed in, say, like humanitarian efforts or, goodwill amongst men, that kind of a thing. That's still a spiritual path. That's their spirituality. They just don't look at it that way. They don't label it that way. Even science is a spiritual path, depending upon how you choose to speak of it philosophically. Is it a driving force for good in your life? Is it a system that you hold to as true? So on and so forth. To have the kinds of experiences they may be having if you're experiencing different timelines of you interacting with you. They're now opening to that. To go from having no clue, other than knowing there's something different about you and they don't know why they react like they do or why you can just blast through all of their shields like they're not even there. They're understanding now why. They're learning why now. And they may not understand that you don't get all the information they get. They may assume you know it all, just like they do. They're going to need clarification. They're going to need to speak to you at some point. If this is coming out in this reading for you, this is happening to them. Which means even more so now than ever, they're going to be even more protective of themselves, but now they'll be more protective of you, which may not outwardly, they may not act like it may present as though they don't care, as though they don't want you near, as, all of these things. It may not be at all what it appears to be. And I say that because they may feel like they don't want to let you down. They don't want to hurt you, that you're on a pedestal, that they're not good enough, like you, all of these things, right? They may feel like that, and they may act to protect you from themselves. But to this I speak, especially if they're watching, if there are some masculines watching this reading, I challenge this logic of yours. And I'm sure that there are feminines watching this as well who agree to some extent with what I'm about to say. The way that we feel about you is the divine. We don't feel this way about anybody else. We live our lives one step at a time, knowing that the divine is with us in every moment, and that you are where divine has highlighted is home. You. So whether you feel good enough or not, the divine is truly the one that chose you. The divine. That saying that we've all heard. You can't choose who you love. Yes, there's sayings that say you can only love sometimes you can love, how do we put it? Sometimes it's best to love someone from afar. Do you know how rare this connection is? How unique it is to feel something like this, and to know that the feminine is that close, that tapped in. The moment you open to the concept that maybe because of that, that you're actually the one thing that she has always longed for, always needed, because she sees herself in you, that she's just as lonely as you, that she feels just as isolated and different and apart from everyone else as you. That she could see you in a sea of darkness as the only light that somehow survives and has survived an entire life of that toxin around them, and still you strive to protect that light, that piece of them within you. Try to see yourself through her eyes, is my advice. Ask her. Put yourself in her shoes. See yourself through her eyes, is my advice. And that is a lot of what's happening here. They're getting a far more detail of the image, of the history of what you are here to one another. And that advice is something that is present within the feminine collective watching right now. And because you heard it, because it resonated, it's already something that's affecting their subconscious, because you're feeling it, you're experiencing it, and the divine is within that message. Within that message, it's not just something that you're hearing, they're hearing it too. Even if it's not conscious, because we're all connected, but the two of you in particular, this kind of a connection, how they see themselves in this situation. So we have the Queen of Spheres here, which is awesome because it's in the upright. So they see themselves as abundant, in and within themselves, abundant. They feel like they are sitting pretty. So this may have already happened. At this point, how they see themselves now implies they've already integrated this. That's beautiful, because they have this pentacle right in front of their third eye. And they're definitely more of a feminine form. So they're listening to you, and through listening to you, they're hearing the divine. So that's how they see themselves right now. It's like a student learning, being guided, and their eyes are closed. So they are completely focused, and they are following this guidance with their eyes closed. They don't need to have them open. They're not blind, but they don't need the physical eye to know where they're going. How others see them in this situation is the Eight of Swords reversed. They see them as, I want to say as free of being tied down, of having been free to being tied down, but it's actually kind of contradictory. It's two ways. And that's all I'm allowed to say. Okay, that's all I'm allowed to say. You guys will know what to do with that. The divine may have spoken. Your intuition may have spoken already. Beautiful. Okay. And this is why I wasn't allowed to speak yet. Their hopes and their fears regarding this situation between the two of you is the Justice upright. There's a lot of pain in this card. And it's the divine is, okay, so if you can possibly try to understand that as empathic and sensitive and aware as you are of the pain in this world, the divine feels every world in the multiverse. Every planet in this universe that holds intelligent, sentient life. Every agony, every hurt of every living being that is self-aware. And beyond that, every plant, every animal, the very planet, everything is constantly in motion, and all of that the divine feels. The divine is literally crying for the agony present within this situation, because it's not just the two of you. There's so many other energies, soul contracts, aspects present, and the tears are for the state that you both have been pushed to get to this point, and also for how much love and trust that you were willing to walk that path, to be part of that Trinity, to not let one another fall. The divine is within you. To not let your counterpart be lost to you because you choose to let them is a very painful experience. It's more of like a human way of putting it would be, in some traditions, I think it might be in Hawaii, they have you walk over a bed of burning hot coals to get to your person on the other side, and then you do your vows, and then you're married. This is the spiritual soul path of burning coals. You have to go through it to be fully yourself on the other side, to be able to make that commitment and actually fully participate in the experience of it. And there is pain for the journey. There's tears for how beautiful it was to overcome, and how you embraced love, and not just love of each other, but love of divine. And the divine is, it's a very complex, and I know I'm not capturing it perfectly, but it's living, it's like living in a circle instead of a line, to experience all of it instead of just a linear, do this, then this, then this. It's all of it. So the outcome, given all things as they currently are at this time, meaning that any of the messages, the guidance that has come through that you have not acted on yet, you haven't taken this advice yet, if anything was left for you to assertively choose to empower within this reading, that is not factored in yet, because you haven't done it yet. Once you do it, the outcome can become something totally different. So this is what the outcome would be if you did not get this information, this guidance right now. So we have the Page of Spheres inverted, which means typically the traditional would be that you're not getting that offer because their mind would not be able to integrate all of this information. They wouldn't be able to balance all of the agony and the pain. They wouldn't have been able to free themselves, and they would lose themselves completely. They would never be able to be put back together. That is currently what this is speaking to. However, the meaning of this card is experiment, try not to get lost in starting but not finishing anything. So this is saying they need that bit of encouragement from you. They need you to have a moment where you're like, hey, lightheartedly, like, what's up? Send him a funny emoji. Do something. Like, maybe they're a fan of like Dumb and Dumber, and there's some Dumb and Dumber emoji that you know that they're just gonna laugh. You know, like whatever. It could be Starsky and Hutch. It could be an apple pie thing. Like, you know them. You know what makes them laugh. You know their sense of humor. Like helping them to see the light side, right? The more that you have those moments because they allow you to, because they need them and they know they need them, the more they're open to those things. Because it's all about boundaries. You can't just flood them with funny emojis and them not be a little freaked out. So it's within, you know, within healthy boundaries. Try to help them find the funny, see the light side of things, to know they're safe with you, they could be themselves. So that'll help them to follow through with what they begin to start that brings them to you. Have more of that positive energy. It'll help them to continue to feed those things within them. Okay, so the symbolism, which will kind of speak to what I was talking about with the mind. A figure with a single sphere for a head uses the energy to light his way through the darkness. In the reverse, there's a lack of ability and lack of ambition. And this is what you can affect by, you know, making it known that you care. Not being like clingy too much, you know, anything like that, but being their friend. Being their friend first. That you want them to laugh, you want them to smile, and you don't expect anything back other than the joy of their happiness. That is selfless love right there. That is unconditional selfless love. That's the very basic level of it. And in many ways, the most healing and most beautiful. The upright interpretation of this speaks to apprenticeship and practice. So when you do begin to give them these moments of happiness, these moments to maybe see the lighter things in life, to feed that part of themselves, they're learning about light through you. The divine is reaching them through you. They're developing their own relationship with divine that you're not privy to because you're tapped in. Now, at the top of the deck here, we have the Four of Cups. That tells me that their higher self is doing everything he can to keep those Four Cups together. The image is holding them together in balance. He's got one foot on each cup and one hand on each cup, you know, keeping them there. But the beautiful thing is at the bottom of the deck. So he begins here and he ends at the Chariot. Both of these are upright. He ends with knowing this is the time to move forward and hold nothing back, that he knows why he's moving where he's moving, and he's in balance within himself. And the two of you are working together. I'm going to move into some oracle guidance for you guys. All right, I will ask for 3 cards and a crossing card for guidance for the feminine collective for this reading. Okay, so this is pretty clear. This is pretty clear. Advice, guidance from divine for the feminine collective for this reading for you to be able to integrate this advice into your own experience of your spiritual journey and your physical existence, moving through everyday life, just doing everyday life, right? This will help this process to be smooth, to be something that will assist in integration, and it will be helpful to your counterpart, to this masculine, for you to be able to fully embody these pearls of wisdom at this moment that the divine is highlighting. It'll help them have a very stable foundation from which to do their work, because they feel what happens in you too. It's not one way. Spooky action at a distance is what I'm speaking to here. You do anything positive, they experience positive. It may not be the same exact way, but they experience it in a positive way. So crossing, these 2 cards are paired. So I have the higher heart activation and the Gaia gateway activation. For those of you who are wondering, this is the gateway of light activation oracle. Okay, so the spiritual guidance for the feminine collective to create positive change within themselves, to give love and light and nurture themselves, so that there will be a firmer foundation within you from which they can then focus on doing their healing, their integration. This is more the energy aspect to things and how affecting the energy aspect to yourself, to your experience, does manifest in your physical reality in very concrete ways. There is a call, an emphasis to your having gotten that heart chakra, that knowledge, helped them to open that heart chakra so that the divine could reach them, could speak to them, that their higher self could give them the information about their past lives that could free them and all of that. So with your heart chakra, your heart is healed. You do not need to be so vigilant with maintaining the shields around your heart with the divine and with your counterpart at this time. You need to nurture that seed in your consciousness that says you don't need to protect yourself from the divine or your counterpart. You're now aware of that, and you can start to nurture the concept of, maybe it's time to let my shields drop a little bit. Maybe I don't need to be so guarded at this moment as I apparently am. This will allow them to come more physically into your world. The one thing that you long for, being physically present in your world. Then it moves to your solar plexus, and your solar plexus has received an upgrade. In order to channel this light, you need to have a very strong sense of self to create that boundary between this energy that is you, this beautiful being that is you, and what is not you. What is divine, what is you, what is energy that is being channeled to heal someone else, be it an ascended master, be it an ancestor, whatever this other energy may be. It could also be someone right in front of you that is seeking your help by being kind of a toxic person. It's not actually you they're seeking, it's the divine within you, and creating that boundary, being able to witness their active prayer through their toxin is them crying out to the divine, and you're witnessing that, and the divine witnesses it through you. That boundary is very clear, and you're able to do this on a subconscious level now because your solar plexus has been upgraded. You don't have to focus on it. It just is. Next, we move into the Gaia Gateway activation. This is deeper than your root chakra. Yes, your root chakra is part of this. This is all about you working with the chakras that are your masculine counterparts' strengths. Their challenges are working with your chakra strengths, which is your throat and your third eye and your crown and your universal matrix. You're tapping into divine. That is where their challenge is. Yours is with where their strengths are at. So with the Gaia, she's speaking to you. You're learning a lot. Highly recommend spending some time outside just watching, observing nature, feeling the wind, allowing yourself to enjoy the warmth of the sun, to look up to it and just see the sun through your closed eyes. Maybe squint a little at it. Maybe don't look right in it. But to see that red through your eyelids. Just enjoy that connection. To maybe take your shoes off and walk around barefoot. To garden even. There are so many benefits from being in nature that are scientifically based. Aside from the spiritual aspect to it, there is science to this. I also had the sacral chakra come in, and this is definitely highlighting the need to enjoy the little things, to enjoy the enjoyment. We have been through the gauntlet. Like, we've really been through it. To have a moment where you're like, wow, this is awesome. And then lose yourself to that feeling for a moment, just marveling at having that experience, is such a contrast when you've just been through such spiritual challenges and lessons and frankly battles a lot with your shadow side, with your triggers. To create those moments where it's possible for you to be able to feel that and then fully live in that moment with it. Now, I did have the Akashic Records card come through, and this was for you to understand that they're learning about things, about your past lives together, about just their past lives. And in some of these past lives, you guys knew of each other, but you didn't actually get to be together, or you were always connected, but for whatever reason, wherever you incarnated, you were just too far apart, but you were always energetically aware. This is also an emphasis for you in that you are going to achieve freedom through this process of nurturing and loving and empowering these chakra centers and all that they represent. I highly recommend doing some research on them, as there are many different ways to work with them, but there's also a science to it. There's a couple of books on the psychology of around each chakra and your development, even from birth to how you relate to different social constructs within your culture, and just so on and so forth. I think that there might, for some of you, there really might be a lot that would begin to make sense for you as to why you did avoid empowering these chakras, and why now that you've done the work, it's probably going to be a very enjoyable experience, because you've done the work to clear a lot of the shadow. So it will be something that will be enjoyable to experience, instead of something riddled with landmines or triggers in places you don't know where they will be. You've already done that. You've already cleared that. You've already healed. And if you haven't done all of it, you know the process and you know it well. All right. And that will conclude today's collective reading for the feminine collective seeking guidance, insight into their masculine counterpart, or the receptive energy seeking guidance on the assertive energy within the situation that they're currently finding themselves very muchly aware of, the connection between the two. The divine in me honors the divine within you. Namaste.